I've been on Zoom meeting with people who are like, trying to bed and fall asleep. I'm like, hello?
Okay.
Did Josh just step out?
Yeah.
Give Josh a second to step in, I guess. Work call.
We good to start?
Planning meeting is not this week, it's
Yeah.
next week, planning board.
The first one. Yeah. Alrighty. Let's call this meeting to order here at 6:30 on August 26th, 2025. And we will begin, we have a quorum and we will begin with a pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have any amendments to the agenda? Do we have any, well, actually, I'd like to, so we don't have to keep Chief here longer, I would like to move, the new business ahead of old business tonight, so the Chief doesn't have to sit here for that. Do I have a motion for that? So, do I have a second?
Oh, second.
Any questions? Alright, all in favor? Any opposition? Seeing none. So we're just gonna move old, new business to old business. Do we have any public comments? Come on.
Brian Manoa, board. In reference to the July 22nd meeting, there was a lot of discussion about economic development. And I understand that the board has given George, the town planner, Mr. Tavares, to go ahead to pursue a grant through GPCOG. I also heard that there was some interest from several board members in economic development. I just wanted to point out that the town-approved 2018 comprehensive plan listed a short-term goal that the select board appoint a economic development committee. And I'm hoping that all of those that are interested in economic development make that a priority for the upcoming year. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, what year, it was 2018 you said?
The 2018 comp plan.
Oh, okay.
Alrighty. Any other public comment? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into new business from the chief.
Thank you for the time. The fire department's not used to asking for help, and we're pretty good savers, but I have to ask for permission to spend some of our capital. Last year or more, we had to get a hunter off of Granite Hill Farm Road that had suffered a medical. We had no way of getting, into the woods. We started hiking in. 3 of our members are over 70 during the day. We ended up using somebody's private off-road vehicle, little UTVs. We called for mutual aid, but Sabatis and Auburn at the time are like an hour out just to load it up and get it here. Recently, in the winter, we have a rescue toboggan that was delivered for snowmobilers in town that have been injured, but we have no way of really getting it there. We have to wait for the wardens to come with a snowmobile. And then 2 weeks ago, we had to request 5 separate mutual aid for the off-road vehicles. As far as ways, Gray came to help us. We went to Granite Hill Farm for a truck fire that ended up extending into the woods. We had 2 UTVs there. The power lines on Rabbit Road, we had 2 separate fires really grow. We had guys like hiking in a half mile to find the fire, and then we requested they fight a fire for 5 hours after hiking in. So if you're familiar with these vehicles, they're a UTV, off-road vehicle. They're really becoming standard for the fire service. 2 people, I gave you some quotes, and let me just send you 2 pictures here so you really know what we're talking about. Pass this around. This is literally what we would do, and there's an insert. So there's a price and then an insert, which is a water tank. It's a pump, and it's also, you can lash a victim, so it's also EMS. Goes right in the back of it, standard. We've had several calls now that we could use it. We would store it here, insure it, and you can drive it over the road. Currently, for the first year, the boys need to be trained. There's a policy that needs to be written. We do have a trailer that we gave to the Public Works if we were have to trailer it somewhere, but it should be over the road capable. My research is up to $30,000. It's about 22 for the UTV. It's another 6 to 8 for the slide-in, another 1,000 for lights. So the fire department's requesting $30,000 out of our capital. Our capital currently, I believe I wrote it down and said, we have $592,000 in our capital reserve for the fire department. That's not the towns, that's just what we've been saving. So we would offset that by, 10-year plan out, 3,000 more a year, brings you back to what our plan is currently. And if you're familiar with the capital, that's always ebbs and flows, right? If something were to wreck, you'd need something new and you wouldn't be able to refurb it. Anybody can drive it. There's several dealers in the area that want to work with us. So I'm requesting from you all that just like the boat, so I've looked for grants. We were waiting for the battery energy storage to come to town. That's sort of on hold, really doesn't seem plausible anytime soon. Sabatis got a donation because they have a large solar array, but there's just no donations to be garnered. Our grant was for the boat. So there's really no funding stream except the capital that we have. Going forward, they have tracks, sort of like snowmobile tracks. We could write a small grant. Those are $3,000 to $5,000. Through Walmart or others, we could garner a grant for those, and it can wait. I don't think this machine can. Again, Gray, North Yarmouth, we had 5 of them in 2 days. Guys are using their personal vehicles. One of the guys brought his own personal four-wheeler, which is, it needed it, but it's never an option, right? Have somebody use their own equipment at a fire. If anything were to happen, if it was to wreck, catch fire, how do you insure it, right? It's sort of on the member. So it was brought to me, the membership thought it was a good idea. I do. I've had one of these in Mass for 20 years. They last, right? You take care of them, you pride ownership in them, you get them lettered up, and we use it that long. So tonight, that's what we're requesting.
Do you have any questions for Chief?
Sure.
Just because I don't know anything.
Yeah.
How would you get it to any location? Do you have to buy a separate trailer for it?
No, it's a good question. So the town does have a trailer, if need be, but these are on-road capable. Headlights, flashers. We would equip it with the lights and sirens. They go over 40 miles an hour, and we would follow with either the utility or another vehicle for safety purposes. Currently, that first year, we would keep it in town. Anything mutual aid would be a trailer. But the town owns several.
Okay.
Not a extra investment, if you will.
And it can drive in the snow?
Yeah, these can drive in the snow. They're like 4-wheel drive. You can put snow tracks on them, like snowmobile tracks, and they can go. If you read the report, I didn't realize how many miles of trails Durham has. So there's, back lots and farms. We've had several EMS rescues. Recently, even across the street on Roseboro, you wouldn't think so, but some people have really taken up camping and whatnot in the woods pretty far. And we had a medical call that we all got stuck. And I had to think outside the box to render aid. This could do it. Certainly with the insert, you can strap an individual that's been injured and bring them out to an ambulance.
So, Chief, the photograph showed us the 2 passengers,
Yeah.
4 passenger options as well, so just 2.
So there is, they're more expensive, right? The 4-door, more expensive, heavier machine. I'd rather get the staff there and equipment and whatnot I think they come with 3 seatbelts. You can have a middle person, so 3 is good. we did go round and round about like a 6-seater, but, you know, the increased cost and whatnot, I really think 3 is sufficient for Durham.
Do you know off the top of your head the increased cost for like the 2 rows of seatings, how much of a difference it was?
Sure, it depends on which machine you go with, right? So Topsom has their own brand new sort of machines as compared to like a Polaris that everyone's familiar with, or a John Deere. I did include quotes and these aren't finalized. You know, John Deere's are 30-something thousand to begin with because of the branding, others are 20. I built one on the government spec for Polaris, and it really gives you good funding, but from there, $2,000 delivery, you know, there's sort of some uptakes that really just eat away at the savings. I think it's a couple $1,000 increase. We may have that, right?
Well-
It just depends on the deals we can get and the lowest pricing. I did talk it over with the town manager. I would have to get a committee together of the fire department and staff to see if we can use a 4-door. I thought maybe, because you can certainly take a victim, you know, sideways in the back seat. It just depends on added cost.
So, my question then is the proposal to do the 1 row of seating truly a cost concern, or if we said, hey, you know, it's not a cost concern, would you prefer 2 rows of seating? Because in my mind, this is an important investment, and I want us to get what we need, not almost what we need. Because just like full disclosure, I responded to the fire. Chief didn't give me the credit, but I was one of the guys who hooked it in there, and it's like, that's a lot of work when you're in there for 5 hours and you've got a water tank on you and those sorts of things. And the whole time I was walking, it's like, there was a previously used like 4-wheeler trail ready to go on that we walked along. And it's like, that's what the other departments could access when they come in. And we were very fortunate that the fire was where it was, because then we found a different road. But if that wasn't the case, you're asking volunteers to walk a mile from the nearest road at midnight, you know? And I'm worried about public safety, and one thing that noted is like, we have amazing volunteers in the fire department, but in my mind, it's really unacceptable that a private citizen has to bring their own piece of equipment and their own trailer to a fire because we don't have one. Because what happens if that catches on fire? Now they're coming and asking us to replace theirs, or what's liability? And you know, we're fortunate to have those volunteers, but that's just not cool in my mind.
It was a budget concern, always a budget concern, not playing for the camera, always a budget, right? We have it in our capital, we're pretty good savers. I think, you know, if we increase it to 32,000 request, as long as the 4-door meets the specs and the weight requirement. If it adds weight, because we'll be adding 80 gallons of water, you know, the tank, the reel, everything right in the back. So I have to confirm, and they are built to slide right in, they'll slide in, and then they're mounted. I just have to confirm that increased length and increased doors and occupants, it still can handle the weight.
Josh?
So, I have a couple questions.
Sure.
I'll start with it.
Of course.
I guess I was surprised, you would think for all the times I've been over here, we had the open house and stuff, I never realized you didn't have one. So I do agree that it's probably a good purchase. And there's enough room to store it safely and take care of it.
Yes.
And no special training needs to be done to take care of it, maintain it.
I did read a training bulletin from chiefs across the state. North Yarmouth Fire Chief is a certified trainer in off-road vehicles, and before use, a policy would be written, gear would be bought, I believe probably through donation, helmets, eyewear, it comes with a windshield, and people would be certified, at least to have the familiarity with it, so before in service, but at no extra cost.
And then the other question I have, I'll be the first to admit, I know nothing. I mean, there's, the Polaris quote is 42,000. The John Deere's, well, for one is 36, the other is 33.
Yeah.
But those don't look like they're they're outfitted, those just like the basics. And then this Ranger is almost 31,550. That looks like it's got the accessories you'd want.
So what I did, when you start looking at it all, when we're looking at the same, the one that says Polaris quote right on it with all the boxes.
Yeah.
And that's 42, I built that, that's the government spec, right? So they'll give you money off, but then they really upcharge you on some of the other stuff and delivery. So it's the piece of equipment we want, but that's the government spec ballooned it. The government's always here to help, so, 42. The John Deere, those are local, and those machines, as you can see, 33, 35, just for that. The two that we're looking at are two local vendors. Tom's in Topsom has certain vehicles, and Lewiston, Central Maine Power Sports, and they sell Polaris. So they came right in 17 or 21 for the machine, and that's a two-door. Everything was quoted two-door. The four is usually a couple thousand more. That insert picture that I showed you, that's a drop ship, and that's anywhere from 7 to 8, straight from them, straight from the website. And then, of course, we save in taxes, that type of stuff. So I think I'm in the ballpark. It is budgetary always. But, if we vote up to 32 to spend it, we can make it work.
Yeah, I'm more inclined to explore the option to have the two seats, 2 rows of seating for additional folks, because usually my understanding is when you're gonna need to use it, you're also gonna need a lot of hands on deck, and, having to shuffle back and forth seems less than ideal.
It is, and some of these come with front and back, trailer hitches. They all come with a back trailer hitch, some of them come with a front also, so we could use our boat down to run around or that type of stuff.
And frankly, when I first started coming by the fire department and I noticed we didn't have one, that really blew me away, because I grew up in a small rural town just like this. It was a key piece of equipment that the town needs between the snowmobile trails, the 4-wheeler trails. We got a lake that people go ice fishing on. We've got, the river. We've got tons of right-of-ways that aren't really accessible. Like, it seems like a no-brainer to me, including with pursuing grants for the tracks too. So, this all checks out to me.
So, I guess my question about the cost comes down to, is the best option for us to sort of give you the okay to, I'm assuming it's gonna go out to bid? Or
We always need, at that price, we
Right.
try to garner 3.
Right.
So I can go back to the same and try to garner 3 for the.
And does it make sense for us to say, get bids for the 2 or 3-seater and the 6-seater? And then we authorize it, because, if it's a couple $1,000s more, I think Joe's right, that going to the bigger machine, if it's going to work out, is probably better for the town. Because if it's not big enough, we come to find out, then you're gonna come back and say, we need a second one, which is gonna be 30-something thousand more, right? And so I think long-term, but if it's gonna be 10,000 more for a bigger one, that's gonna meet all the specs, then it starts, then I start to have more questions about, is that worth it?
Sure.
So, I fully support doing this. I guess my question is it better to explore the 2 different options before we say, this is what we're gonna let you spend? And have you just come back with those options at our next meeting and say, here it is, it's $2,500 more to get this bigger one, which is probably better for the town to do now. It's gonna have the same life expectancy, it's gonna, everything else. But, for me that, there's not much in terms of cost, it's not worth saving a life or allowing you to do the work that's necessary to help save a life or save a house or whatever. So to me, I don't wanna say money's not an option, but I wanna make sure we get the right one. And I guess you haven't sold me on which one the right one is yet, and I wanna make sure we get the right one for you. And so that's what I'm thinking, and if it's more work and too much work, then tell me.
No,
I just,
no,
you know, I guess I had thought of the bigger one, even though that's, you know, I don't have one, but, you know, we went to a friend's house and they had a bigger one and my kid loved driving it. And so I see the difference, and to me, maybe it's worth it, and so I'd rather have you come back and say, this is what I want, than come back and say, I want more money.
sure.
Yeah,
That's just a personal thing for me.
I'm with you, Josh, rather than just adding 2,000 on this 30 and saying 32, if it works, I'd rather see you come back next meeting with this is what a 2-row seat one would look like, just so we can get a rough idea of the difference, because I'm more inclined, I'm very big on buy once, cry once, you know, and I think that the department does a really good job of making their equipment last a long time. We saw that with the boat, that thing was mint condition after, 20 years almost?
20 years.
Yeah, and so undercover, scheduled maintenance, all those sorts of things, I think that we might as well buy the one that's gonna last for 20 years and get the job done, you know, so would like to, table this until, you can come back and have a second quote of a larger
Sure.
piece of equipment for us, if that works.
And I think you could send Jerry if you don't wanna stick around.
No, I appreciate the thoughtfulness, the opportunity. I will get with a committee and get quotes and exactly so you can do side by side, no pun intended,
Mhm.
comparison.
Yeah.
On all of it. No problem. Anything else? Any other questions, just so I pin them down?
Thank you, I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, until then, I just assumed we had.
I know, I didn't know if we didn't have one.
I just assumed.
Just having something out there that has some lights on it at night would be nice to put,
Well, that's
shine some
the
light, you
safety
know?
factor alone and the water bill, I tell you what. So,
Chief and I had quite a conversation about this, so I primed them up for you guys, so you guys did a nice job. You shut it out twice now.
I will work on it, I will take my homework and work on it, but thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Alright, so we're gonna table the off-road vehicle request until, next meeting. Jerry, can you put that down for this calendar? Cool. Alrighty,
Thank you.
Would you guys want to officially?
yeah, I will make a motion to table, the off-road vehicle capital request until Chief can return with additional quotes. Josh, second from Josh, do we have any additional discussion? Or any questions? All in favor? Any opposition? Seeing none? Alright. Perfect. Alright, so,
Thank you.
thanks, Chief. Next on our agenda,
We didn't do meeting notes.
oh, sorry, yeah. Do we have a motion to approve meeting minutes?
So
Motion from Josh, do I have a second?
A second.
Do we have any questions or any discussion? All in favor? Any opposition? Seeing none? Okay. Old business, finalizing our goals and objectives. So, put back here to my list. I think I'm really happy so far as to the process we're going through with our goals and objectives and getting them recorded here and kind of laid out. I think I really feel like our committees are on track with what we wanted from them. Does everyone else feel like we're in that position? So I think I lost my notes, I'm trying to figure out what it was. So I think our committees are in a good position because they're already starting to work on things, you know, perfect example, Conservation Commission's already reached out to request a date to be on our agenda in October to go over the open space plan, which is moving forward. I know the Ag Committee met with you, Jerry, to talk a little bit about economic development
Yeah, but George and I.
with you and George, to give some insight on that grant opportunity. And I know that the planning board's gonna come back, with their expected, where they want, what they would recommend is the first section of the edits for our land use ordinance to be. are important needs to be addressed, because there's a bunch that George, if you actually all recall, George has kind of highlighted that we got from the codification process. So I feel like most of those things are in motion right now, and we're just gonna get some updates moving forward. But I think what's important for us is to set what our primary objectives are gonna be for the next 12 or 11 months or 10 months at this point. So, did anyone wanna start off on if there's something that you wanted to highlight now before we go through it a little bit more? As something that's most important to you?
Also, I think the economic development, I guess I didn't read the, guys, if I closely remember that we said we'd have that committee, but that's a good place to start. To me, that, I mean, the tax bills have been out for what, a week or so, and I think people still don't understand everything. And I think the only way, you know, I've been asking my wife, well, what would you cut? Should we cut the plowing, the trash, the town office hours, the fire, I mean, what do you cut? She's like, I don't know. I haven't seen anybody come up with an idea of what to cut other than just what I have to pay. And I think the only way we can address that issue is to work on this issue, and that's the economic development. So I think, to me, I think that should be, to me, that's number one priority.
I agree. I had a very similar conversation in my household. And I'm just, there's nothing. Nothing to be cut.
And that's, you know, a compliment to you, Jerry, and the town, I mean, there's nothing, I mean,
Yeah.
you can nitpick a couple $100 here or there, but
It's not.
And-
And quite frankly, it only went up 3%. So,
I mean,
50% is the 6 months additional, that's right.
yeah, I think it was like $300 and something, I think, a month ago.
Yeah, I saw a lot of chatter, people were talking about it's like $9 to $20 a month for a lot of households. You know, and we wanna be mindful of that, but like you said, Josh, there's really, if we look at the budget going up 3%, that's the total budget. We don't control the school budget, we don't control the municipal budget, both of which went up double or triple that 3%, they went up, you know, closer to 9%. So the fact that we're still budgeting and absorbing a 9% increase on what is 72% of our expenses, and still coming in at 3% is a testament to all the cost savings that Jerry's finding, all the hard work from all the boards and committees, and all of the hard work from the town staff. You can only get so lean, right? And I just don't see an opportunity for us to, at this point, get a lower tax bill while still maintaining the same level of service. And ultimately, we know from our community that while we might hear people raise concerns about the tax bill, people have raised concerns, but they still want the same level of service. And that's the only way we can address that, is to generate more income at this point. You can only find so much savings. So I think economic development is gonna be key. And like our public comment said tonight, you know, it was laid out in the 2018 plan. And we kind of have the winds to our sails right now with a couple of grant opportunities that weren't really expected. You know, one of which, the open space plan, might not fall tightly into that economic development, but it's adjacent. You know, this downtown visioning plan also lays the framework for some of that economic development. And so I think that should be one of our goals, because last year we addressed, you know, the fees and expenses at the town to bring those up to snuff. We made a major adjustment there, and many of those, there's not a lot of options to really make that a greater amount, you know. So at this point, we've really tapped what we can save, and we've tapped what revenue we can generate. We gotta go to the next big rock, you know, that's big rocks, right, you know, development. So, will we say that that's our primary objective, you think?
To me, it is, and I do think you're right, that the open space and the downtown, I think that it's all intertwined, because I think one can help lead to the other.
Yeah.
Which help lead to the other.
And that, you know, that feeds right into the budget with maintaining great people within the town too.
Mhm.
So that we talked quite a lot about.
Anything else that comes to the top of people's heads? For me, because I think that we told all the boards and committees to come to us with 2 objectives, right? So I think it makes sense for us to limit ourselves to 2 or 3 objectives as well, with economic development being one of them. For me, addressing the budgeting process is gonna be another big plan. We don't have that process codified anywhere in terms of what the expectation is from the select board to provide the budget committee, what the charge to the budget committee is from our legislative body. At this point, they're operating with a self-given, annually modified set of goals that they have, but we don't have anything codified and so there's nothing in our municipal documents or in the state statute saying this is what that committee is supposed to do and this is the expectation. I mean, I was looking into this a little bit more and like, the only legislation there is says if there is a budget committee, their recommendation has to be included on warrant items. So there's not even a laid out process in our municipality for us to even present the budget to the budget committee. I mean, future boards could just say, here's our warrant articles, tell us what you think, we're not meeting with you, we're not telling you anything. Now, we obviously aren't promoting that. When you don't have a process, you don't have that laid out for how to proceed. So I think it's gonna be really important for us to address what the process is with the budget committee, and I think that it's a sensitive topic because the budget committee is an elected board. And we don't have oversight over that board, but we wanna make sure that we have a collaborative process. But also we need to have in the community's best interest, like understanding what everyone is supposed to do. You can look up our jobs, you can see the details on that sort of stuff. So I think that's a really important thing to address this year as well, if I would put something at number 2. Do I have any other people with thoughts on that?
When did we say the budget committee was formed? Years and years ago,
It's
right?
like 1930,
1930s.
33,
But
yeah.
over time, I mean, the situation changes and you're, so I think it's a good idea to just step back, take a look at where we are today. What's our policies? Let's create policies if we need them. Let's re-examine on, the value of the budget committee, what they bring to the table, what the collaboration efforts are intended to, accomplish. And we'll see where it goes. But I do think the tension, the process and stuff that we went through in the last budget, I think it just shows it's warranted to take a look at this. And I think we owe it to not only the select board, but the budget committee too. They're a group of residents who, care as much about the community as we do, and everyone just wants to do the right thing.
Yeah, I agree with you, Deb, and I do think in terms of owing it to the board, owing it to the budget committee, but also owing it to the residents is that I'm just not, we need to have, our residents are our legislative body in the town manager select board form of government. And so everything that gets done in this town, that power is given to the individual from the legislative body. And right now, there's nothing defining that with the budget committee. And when the budget committee was formed in 1933, I would imagine taxes were collected very differently, imagine the needs were very different, but we also didn't have other mechanisms in place, like we weren't in a town manager form of government. These are all things that have changed, so I just think that in order to make sure it's a holistic process that includes everyone and make sure everyone's on the same page, we gotta do something like you said, so. Is there anything else that people think is a primary goal or objective for us?
The last time, I feel like we're a little deja vu here because we had a meeting and brought those notes together. But I think we need to address communication. Improvements in communications. Again, we did this already, so somewhere in
Yeah.
the year, no.
Well, I mean, I know.
I'm not trying to say.
So last time I know we all kind of gave our whole list and heard each other, and now this is where I'm saying we come back and of every topic we heard, let's pick 2 or 3
Right.
to be our focus. And these were the 3 that were on my top of my mind. Our communication from the board to the residents. is gonna be really something that I think that's where we can have a big say, cause you know, a lot of our communication might be like things that town staff are communicating to the residents, and that's of the purview of the town staff. But when it comes to communicating policy or implications of policy that the select board is implementing, that's where I think that we have opportunities to be like, how is our board communicating from this chamber to the community? And I think that there's ways to examine that, you know.
Speaking of, I would just like to take the opportunity to say, I don't know who puts the news blast out every week, but I think that is just excellent. I mean, everything about it, the template, all of the information is really good. If we could get every resident to pay attention to it, more maybe, it would be better, but we don't have a bad grade in communication, I don't think. I just think there are big ticket items that we could probably do better on.
Yeah.
That's all. I think we do really
I can say,
not too bad.
that especially from 3 years ago to now, the communication out of the select board and out of the town office is night and day to what it was when I first moved to town years ago, you know. And so
The website is good.
the website's freaking awesome at this point, you know, the news blast is great.
Yeah.
But like, I'm just learning a lot more too, and so what I wanna do is we can break each one of these down and have a separate workshop where we're figuring out how we wanna address it. But the communication thing, just learning more, like I was talking with the communication person from GP Cog, and I think I've said this before, but he was talking about how towns used to just rely on a beat reporter who came to every select board meeting, and in the newspaper, this Sunday would be a report on what happened here. And we don't have that anymore, obviously, but also he was saying like things like social media, there's all these algorithms and things like that, so even if you're putting things on your town page, if your town page isn't generating advertising opportunities, it's not gonna show up. And I think we've all seen this before where you post something to a social media page and then you can't find it the next day and it's buried way down deep because there wasn't enough comments or activities, and I won't pretend to understand it. There's never gonna be a career in influencing for me on social media, so.
Yeah, I think,
But there's just opportunities to learn how other municipalities do it, and real quick, I will say, talking with GP Cog, one opportunity that they brought up was, hey, we as GP Cog could hire a municipal communications person, split the cost with 4 or 5 towns, and say, we'll send someone there to assist your town with communication and outreach and things like that for 5 or 10 hours a week. And so it might be something we want to explore, that has a fiscal note and that's a long-term thing. But it's just one of those things that it's not something that we have to do alone. And our staff has a million things going on. And so anything that's gonna be something new, we have to figure out how, because we can't say, oh, let's just add another task to the town manager who has to add another task to the town clerk and so on and so forth, so. Rebecca?
yes, that point, that they have quite a lot to do. I think this is also something to be discussed when we are discussing budget and line items for whether it is a social media manager, whether it is just a part-timer, additional staffer who comes in social media or outreach, is that person, falls under that person's responsibility or whatever it might be, but I think this is a separate conversation and I don't know if it's necessarily, I think this falls under the budget. Like we gotta deal with the budget and creating money for this, because without money, the communications are not, whether we choose to hire another person or we choose to go with GP Cog social media or manager communications person. So I think, like to your point, we just need to make money for it.
Well, and I think that that's the thing with these 3 things we have, and I wanna quickly now kind of transition into like putting on the calendar, when are we gonna workshop these? I think sooner than later is important because that's where we determine if there is a fiscal note and what it looks like, you know?
Yeah. I do, like it's a little hectic, I would like to come into the office and have a meeting, whether you're there, Joe, just to kind of, cause I've also sort of mapped out some things, not to go over in this meeting now, but just to, I guess, spitball and find out what is a possibility. And that's something that's on a smaller scale, and then we can go further. And then we can bring in what we discussed to everybody,
Love it.
and that's on me.
Alrighty.
Joe, you're.
I wanna look at the calendar here and kind of plan out when we're gonna take our next things. And so one thing Jerry brought up to me, I think last year or something, is that a lot of times select boards will kind of like have a meeting once a month where they handle all the administrative work that they have to do. But if there's to-do items, they kind of have like a workshop. And that nomenclature can be confusing for people, but it's kind of like a, we're not gonna do anything else that meeting besides, sign the AP warrant and work through what do we want here to talk about, what do we wanna do next? So like at the economic development thing, is like, are we gonna create a committee? What's the charge of that committee? Those sorts of things. And so I would like to, over the next few meetings, just take one of these and have that be a big ticket item. And so when I look at our calendar, our next meeting is September 9th. Excuse me. Our next meeting is September 9th, and right now we have the follow-up discussion on the employee handbook. And so that, I think that we wanna make sure we leave the appropriate time for that. The following meeting is the, says the following meeting would be the 23rd. So I think that would be a meeting where we can put one of these topics on as a workshop for what we want to, like that's where we're having the how discussion, not the what discussion. And so what would people like to begin with there?
I think strong economic development.
I will say that at the end of October is when the Open Space Committee has asked to come in and meet with us too, so if we can have that economic discussion before that, I think it makes sense.
I think we come back on the 23rd, into here's what draft bylaws of this committee is gonna look like, because I think that's where it starts.
Yeah.
I hate that we keep creating committees and kind of advocate or work on them, but I think I can certainly say I don't think I have the time to put in the work that's necessary for that.
Yeah, and but I don't think that this is us handing work off because we don't wanna do it. I think it's also important that we have a community-led initiative here. We're hearing from people who wanna see that. It's in our comprehensive plan. And so I think, the committee is a good approach.
I think we come in and at that meeting sort of hammer out, here are the bylaws, and then at that point we give a couple of weeks for people to apply for that committee. That's what I would see, and then, and that way we're giving our charge of what we're looking for them to do, which I think is a lot of brainstorming and coming up with ideas and, but again, that's something that's gonna take time from staff, that committee, to, they're gonna come up with ideas and, what do we have to do to implement these ideas? You're gonna need George, you're gonna need Jared, you're gonna need everybody, so
And I will say, I do think economic development, this is not we're gonna solve this in three months. This is a, we might not have an answer for now and to the next budget cycle that has solved the economic needs. But I think this is like a big lift, like a long term. And so getting started sooner is better than later.
and it's gonna get us started so that, when we have a reevaluation come in, here's our plan to address your concerns. Maybe some of them have been implemented, here's the implementation, and here's where we're gonna start. And I think it has to start now, so that when those reevaluations come out, we have a plan to address stuff.
And then, so our next meeting will be October 14th. I'd like to put the budget committee as the next topic that we workshop there. That works for folks.
Wait, just to back up, okay, so it's the 23rd, and then it's not the 7th, it's the 14th, is
Yes.
that right? Okay.
Yeah, and we get these weird,
Yeah, I know, I
if the month starts on a Wednesday, it makes us
it's really
if the month ends on a Tuesday, it
Yeah.
makes it feel
Okay, I
like a
just
long
wanted to make
time,
sure I
yeah.
have it right.
And so I wanna talk about the budget process on there, because I do think, at minimum, what might need to happen is some sort of codification will need to be pulled together for the annual meeting the following year. And so whatever, to make sure we can get all that squared away, getting started on that stuff sooner than later. It's crazy to think that we're already talking about October meetings, cause that starts making my eyes twitch thinking about budget season's not terribly far away. And then October 28th, I think, would be our communications workshop.
Okay.
Does sound manageable and reasonable to you, Jerry?
Yeah, so 10/20, you're doing the communications,
Great.
and that's when conservation's coming in too.
Yeah. And so they just sent an email asking, this just came in, today, and I forwarded it along. They want to get on to talk about, kind of the first round of, hey, here's what the consulting firm has pulled together for maps, here's what they're showing, those sorts of things. And kind of like an intro, here's what's going on. I don't think there's gonna be a lot of like, we need decisions to be made on that night. It's gonna be, hey, you know, here's where we're at so far, and here's where we're heading, so.
So on 9/9, we have to do a public hearing on junkyards.
Yep,
So we have the handbook.
and the public hearing on junkyards, yeah.
Those are two so
Well,
far.
okay, what does that mean, public hearing? So we're inviting the public?
So there's a notification,
Yeah,
notification process to say that there's a hearing on junkyards, and I believe that's where people can come in and comment on existing.
yeah, so the code officer will notify the abutters of the junkyards, and they may have some comments to come in, and it gives them.
So of all the junkyards in the town, only two?
There's only, yeah, that's all.
There's only
There's only-
two registered?
Yeah, there's only two that Alan oversees and gives them.
Yeah, there's only two registered junkyards.
But what about the ones that are junkyards that were not registered? Is it-
Are there any junkyards in town that are not registered?
I think there are things that look like
Right.
junkyards that,
You know,
I mean,
I-
there
I
would be a
mean-
lot more than two.
yeah,
I just remember one time I lived in a home that had a street both in the front and the back. In the backyard, I had 3 little kids at the time, the backyard looked pretty messy, someone walked up and thought I was having a yard sale, which I was not. So there could be places that look like junkyards, maybe, that really don't operate as a junkyard.
I've always wondered what the legal definition of junkyard is. I was told years ago that if cars are stacked too high, it's a junkyard. I don't know if that's a true rule or not. But like if you do a Google image scan of town, you can find more than 2 places where there are a dozen vehicles.
But anyway, so for the hearing, the 2 registered junkyards are gonna notify all the abutters to come here.
Alan will notify
Okay,
them
yeah.
that we're having a public hearing
Uh-huh.
on junkyards. It gives the public a chance to come in and voice their concerns.
And do members of the planning board attend that as well,
No,
or George?
no.
And then at this hearing, we're gonna hear their comments and then
Close the public hearing.
close it, okay.
And,
Yeah, last year we missed it, if you recall, we was a little bit late with that, so.
Oh, that's right, it's like a requirement, isn't it?
It's every year.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's-
okay,
It's
yeah.
more of a formality than anything.
Right,
My guess is you probably won't get anyone to comment, but you never know, so, but that's why you have to do it.
Mhm.
so what can we do if there's an issue? Is there-
we'll see what the issues are.
Right, and then just address them like that, so, right.
You know, I know we ended up with 3 goals, but I do just wanna make a comment. We've had a number of residents voice concerns about speeding.
Mhm.
And I think we are maybe on our 1-year anniversary of addressing having a police force in this, for our community, which we know we don't wanna go. But someone wrote a note about, the possibility of having speed, signs is the wrong word, but the electronic things posted in certain areas. I feel like maybe we should have a goal to just address like safety-related concerns that we've heard or things that we're doing to improve the safety of the town and to kind of put a bow around that topic. And maybe we should be doing something about that really high-speed roads that people are concerned enough about that they're, writing notes to the select board and the town manager and stuff. Maybe we should put that on the table.
I don't think you're gonna get anything done to slow the speeders down unless you have law enforcement. And I can tell you, today was the first day I saw, the deputy chief and did not make a comment about spending more time in Durham, sitting in my front yard, and then on my way here tonight, somebody passed 4 cars and almost hit another one head on.
I saw something like that
I mean, I think it's, I don't know how you address it, you can't slow it down even
What's the other digital side of things? Don't
Yeah, and those
they don't mean
deterrents to some
anything.
degree?
I think one thing they realized with those digital signs is they had to put an upper limit, because when people put them out, people try to see how fast they can get picked up going on it. And so that's now why if you're over 20 miles an hour over the speed of those, it says too fast. But I know that we've talked with Calvin about this before, and he moves it to the road where there's a complaint. And I don't know how much of a difference it ends up making, because even just talking with people, I get vocal complaints all the time on like, oh, the speeding is terrible on my road, and the speeding is terrible here. And without the increased police presence, I really don't know what the.
I don't.
What's our direction or advice to the community? If they have a problem, or are they calling?
Call one, so
Call.
I've had the communication with the deputy sheriff, he says, people call. They've done more enforcement here than they have in a long time, recently since.
Because people have been calling?
I know that I have seen sheriffs in town in the last 2 months on 4 or 5 separate occasions, which is far, and that's just anecdotally for me.
Okay.
And I saw them, and they always had someone pulled over for speeding, And so I think that we had someone who reached out to the sheriff and CC'd us a while back.
Yeah.
And it was the next day I saw someone pulled over in town.
And I had a communication not long after that, communication to us. If there's an issue, reach out to us and we can, if it comes in, I'll pass it on. I mean, I talk to them almost on a weekly basis, if not more often. But he commented, this is the first time they've ever said, hey, there's this issue. Yes, we know there's an issue, but we can't, they need a reason, and this is the reason for them to come and address it.
Yeah.
So complain, tell us, and I'll pass it on. I'll
Wait,
tell them.
I'm
and-
sorry, so you're saying that they're saying it's the first they've heard of
The
it?
first, for this specific area.
Just in
First
general,
specific
last year.
Come, give a specific area. I mean, and they know it's gonna be Route 9, 136,
Right.
125. I mean, Swamp Road, I mean, they know all of those, but, they have 3, maybe 4 people on at a time covering Durham and then the other half of the county. And
Okay,
that's the excuse we get, and that's why we looked into adding that dedicated patrol.
And the day that was voted down, someone got pulled over doing 110 on the road.
I mean,
okay, so I think what I'm hearing is, okay, we all understand we have a problem, it's not something we would put as a topic
No.
to address.
I
as a
think
goal
that we
or
are
anything
addressing it
to
the
address-
best we
okay.
can with the tools we have,
Okay.
without additional resources. It's just let the police, let the
Okay.
sheriff know.
I drive past that speed sign up on 136 in Auburn and just do it.
Good, gotcha.
Just absolutely.
The ones that kind of get your attention of Brunswick Chasm, probably more at night, is when they come on, they have blue flashing lights. I guarantee you'll take your foot off the gas for a minute if you see that, because I do. But it's
Oh,
just
you mean
the
yeah, the
speed limit
speed
sign
sign.
has blue flashing lights, so if you don't know what's
I
there,
have seen that.
it'll get your attention, but they're there to help, but,
It's
Okay,
it's social engineering, it's very difficult.
yes, good point.
call them and they'll make an effort to patrol it. That's what they told me, I think that's what they said here and.
Yeah.
Or-
I don't know what else to do.
Go, let the county commissioners know how you feel about it too.
Okay,
Um,
thanks for that.
no, it's important to acknowledge though. Alright, so Jerry, managers report?
Yeah, thank you. So I'm gonna hand this out, this paper out to you, I just got this week.
Oh, sorry, did I miss something?
Do you guys want a motion on the goals or objectives or?
No, I think we're good. I don't think we need a motion.
Alright. So what I'm handing out to you is apparently Amherst County wants to do something to the sheriff building. Okay, so this is the spreadsheet that they sent to me late last week. So you can see where Durham is, so if this goes through, if they vote for this, and ultimately the voters will vote in November of '26, but if they vote for that, that's gonna add 5.3% to the county budget on top of their regular operating budget. Okay, so I talked to Brian Ames on the phone, and he asked me what I thought, and I said, well, as the manager, I'm gonna encourage you to vote no on this, so we don't get hit with this. And I think his other towns that he represents, which is part of Lewiston and Green, they're all wanting him to vote no, so that's what he intends to do. They're having a meeting tomorrow night, so he'll encourage anyone that's a taxpayer in Durham, if they wanna go to that meeting and during public comment, if they don't like what they see here, they can encourage them to vote this down.
Have they made that public, or how have they made this public?
Well, it's probably on their website.
It's tomorrow's the commissioners meeting, we're talking about budget items.
Yeah,
Oh, but
So this is what the annual,
for the bond, for the
and
share.
so we would be responsible for 5% of it.
Yeah, 5.3, yeah, and they're definitely going for the 29 million,
How did they come up with these numbers,
that's,
percentage? Cause I see towns on here that I would expect it to be a higher percentage than us.
population maybe, I'm not sure, Joe.
I mean, cause like Sabatis is bigger than us.
So,
Sabatis is a city.
isn't Mechanic Falls bigger
so,
than this?
so ultimately, the residents will vote on this, at the November election in 2026. So
Okay.
They have the final say, but,
The residents of all these towns.
yes.
County,
Yeah. So, Brian doesn't think there's enough votes internally to stop it, but it'll come down to the
sorry, Brian, who?
residents. Ames, he's our rep,
Okay.
Brian, sorry.
So you're saying that they're willing to have public comments go in tomorrow but I mean, no matter what comments, it's internal, they're gonna vote it up.
Just like, yeah, very much like what we do.
Right.
They allow-
Can we issue a formal letter from
Yeah.
the select board of Durham encouraging them to vote against this?
Well, they're voting tomorrow,
Yeah, but I mean, can we do something like that?
you could.
Yeah.
But I've expressed as the manager for Durham to
Well,
vote it down.
at minimum, I would maybe say we could take a vote and just so you can, when you send an email tomorrow, say our select board voted and has expressed, that they would like to see this voted again. So you know that it's not just manager saying it, but the select board, should we vote that way,
Also, how long have they known about it? You said you just got this.
Yeah, I got this last
So
week.
they're just.
The numbers changed, so I'm still in flux, but this is the final.
But they're not voting on it.
Yes, they are, yes.
They're voting on whether to take it to the
They're
election.
looking at setting it to a referendum
Right,
for the municipalities in the county.
It's not the final vote on whether they're gonna get the bond or not,
But
it's just,
we're gonna get this as will Durham get this to vote?
Yeah,
November.
in November, there'll be a
November.
ballot measure, do you want a bond,
Yeah.
a county bond for this amount?
and who's voting? The Androscoggin County budget
Commissioner.
commissioners.
I think if we write a letter saying we're not in favor or whatever, I think it's a good point about how these percentages are calculated. Is it just based on resident count? Or number of, like, how?
Yeah,
We should ask
I
that
mean,
question.
yeah, because my question is like, we know that when we went through the process of figuring out like our call volume compared to the other towns and like, I don't know.
Let me ask you a question, if you knew, would you change your vote?
If they lowered our percentage, maybe. you
I
know,
think
I mean,
also,
to be fair,
but like, I understand. that
Auburn
has its own
and
place.
Lewiston have what, 50% and they have their own.
Yeah,
but I think also it's important for us to be on the record to say that we are not in favor of this.
Well-
And we should, no, I mean, I
I mean,
think that putting a letter out there.
I'm abstaining,
Right.
mhm.
Well, yeah,
but I will tell you, the building they're in, mold, it's not safe.
Oh, the courthouse building?
It's not, it's
Yeah,
just not
I
safe.
did
It's
jury
not-
duty, it is bad.
It's not safe, and the conditions for the sheriffs, I mean, I spend most of my time in the area with the detectives, just because there's a sitting area there, where we're doing things. I wouldn't let my kid go work for them right now, my kid wanted to be in law enforcement.
Yeah, and I don't think people take this kind of thing lightly. This is a, you know, a huge investment. But at some point, you need to address the fact that have people, residents, community people working in a building that's, you know, 100 years old or whatever, and really harmful.
The court's moving out of there in the next few years. So, I mean, it's just, it's not safe, there's a ton of issues and they're putting money, I mean, my questions would not be about necessarily the percentages, although that's a question, is how much are you putting into these repairs? Because they just started putting in heat pumps, I think, and they're throwing money into this building now, and I don't know if this new building out on Center Street or Turner, wherever they bought, is enough to house other departments. But, you know, despite the expense, there could be long-term savings. And those are the questions that I have, so, you know, I'm abstaining because
Yeah,
I'm close, but, you know, I think
well,
despite the expenses, it could be long-term saving, which might be beneficial, and it might make the working environment better to keep the employees that they have. Because, the sheriff's department does have, some darn good employees there.
yeah,
And when you look at Auburn's getting a new police department, Lewiston's police department is stunning. It's absolutely, of all the departments I've been in, including some brand new buildings, I mean, it's amazing. I've asked to move our offices there, it's so nice. And I think it's helping their recruitment. So, you know, yeah, it's a lot, yeah, I totally get spending that, but there are ways you can convince me that, you know, yes, this expense is gonna save us money in the long term. I mean, it's not a short-term solution, but it could be a long-term solution, so, you know, I would caution before jumping at the expense because, they're throwing money into that building.
can we at least ask them how they got to the percentages?
Sure.
you know, I think that might be our question, if we already know that our rep is, you know, not in favor, just getting some more details from them would be great.
I think ultimately, they know how this all works, and it will really come down to the voters. And I think that's where they wanna move it to, just like you all would, right? That's how they're moving forward.
I think that's the end result as well.
Absolutely.
And so my recommendation is invite Brian down to meet with us,
Yeah,
to do a presentation.
Yeah.
And allow us to ask questions that he's not gonna have answers to, he's gonna have to go back and get, and then come back, for a meeting where we can get questions from the community, and address the answers to the questions that we've asked that he doesn't have.
yeah. I did ask him to come today, but today's his wife and his anniversary, so, yeah, better offer.
But I think that's the better way to do it, because I think, I mean, yeah, how they got the percentages is one thing, but yeah, let's not forget, Lewis and Auburn is paying 50% of this, so I mean,
Yeah.
yes, they use the sheriff's department sometimes, but not very often.
Well, I think I'm good with us
That's a
just
good
having
idea.
him come in and give us a little bit more details after they have their vote, just so we're aware. And then ultimately it goes to the voters of the county in November. So,
Okay, so the Wi-Fi with the Eureka Center is all set to go. The password is TOD 2025 exclamation point, all capitals on the TOD, Town of Durham, 2025 exclamation point.
Excellent.
All right. Speaking of law enforcement, we have had a bunch of road signs that have been taken. Someone's going around either with a sawzall with a metal cut blade and cutting the post off halfway or something. So we're about $2,200 in the hole right now. So Calvin's notified the sheriff.
Hour signs?
Yes,
Town
street signs, yeah. Street signs, no signs, stop signs,
One
yeah,
pound.
pownal sign. So Calvin's been in touch with the sheriff, so they'll keep an eye on these places that turn in metal and see what happens. So there's that.
So, I'm sorry, so street signs and traffic signs?
Yeah, just signs and
Just
metal
someone
signs.
bored out of their mind with
Yeah,
a metal
yeah,
cutter.
probably with a truck. If you're gonna come halfway down, you're gonna have to fit them. You're not gonna put them in a small car.
And they're taking them, they're not
They're
just leaving
taking
them.
them, right. So Calvin tallied it up, so 2,200 so far.
Do we have insurance or anything that covers that? Probably not.
Probably not, I can,
So, I mean,
It's 22.
if we're filling out a police report here, I mean, are they gonna try to do an investigation to figure out what's going on, or?
yeah, I mean, they're looking, like I said, into, go around to all the people that take in metals.
Yeah, yeah.
If there's any signs coming in, I mean, people know, right?
Right.
That Durham doesn't have any police, this is being done late at night. I mean, they took some signs off Stackpole, like.
Yep, the chevrons and the bus
You
sign.
know, the Chevron signs down there, they took all those,
So how long has this been going on?
just the last couple of weeks.
It's still going on?
Well, Calvin didn't report anything today.
It's been almost every day?
No, it's been a couple of days.
I think it was like, yeah, it wasn't like a couple days that it happened.
Yeah.
You can see half the pole on the Auburn County Road where the welcome to town sign was. It's just like that.
Yeah, they took that one too. So. That was frustrating. The public works positions is open, we thought we had somebody, but we don't, so we're still 2 down. Just to let you know, I'm working with Betsy to put the advertisement on Indeed, and we have some money in the budget, we're gonna have to bump some people up in the time, because otherwise we're gonna be in trouble.
Yeah.
So I'll work with them on that, just letting you know that we're not getting any hits whatsoever. So that's a problem. The Dempsey Challenge this year is on September 20th, and they usually stop right here, but this year they changed the route, they're gonna be stopping at Runaround Pond. All right, and so it's a little early to tell you, but September 20th, it's not that far away.
Right.
I just have one copy, pass this around. So we just got a dividend check from MMA for $4,800
Nice.
for having effective risk management and loss control. So we've had no accidents, no safety violations, our policies are in
Yeah, we buy some
place.
signs.
So we can, right, there you go.
Stop this.
Or we can put it towards the,
But that's good, we got that, we actually got that today.
That's awesome. That's
Um,
a reflection of the department heads in your leadership.
Yeah, and having the
staff.
safety meetings and doing what MMA is asking us to do to keep our records up and stuff, yeah, that's good. That'll be on a news blast too, so that people, the residents know.
Yeah, I think
Safety
you already
pays.
put it on the Durham page.
And that's about it, that I can report on, you know.
Cool. Board member reports, I was just gonna say, some of you might have seen, I engaged in a little bit of outreach on some social media pages on the process around, the math behind our 1.5-year budget and stuff like that. And so, very much made sure, if you see that, I'm just speaking direct facts and not trying to make any opinions on behalf of the board or anything like that. But I put out some information about the property taxes and answered a bunch of questions, and so I just wanted to make you all aware, if you hadn't seen that conversation was happening. You know, while I didn't identify myself as the chair of the board, I don't want any of you all to think I'm speaking on your behalf or the board's behalf at any point in time. And didn't engage in policy, just said, here's the information, and then, you know, had checked with Jerry to say, can we just make sure we send everyone to the town office if they have questions? He said, oh yeah, no, we're ready for any questions people have, so, just wanted to.
Did you get some questions?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Did you get anyone to pay their taxes yet?
Oh, yeah, several people have, yeah.
And one thing that I was really happy to see is that there was a lot of people expressing complaints and saying that they didn't know this was coming, and there's a lot of other people saying, well, we all got that thing in the mail, and we all voted for this on town meeting, and this is really, it's just this. So there was, it was showing to me that there was enough people who were like, no, we were told about this, and, you know, one conversation was like, wait till you see what it is, because you're not gonna be happy with what you get. He goes, it's exactly what I expected, so it looked normal. So our outreach was getting to some people, and I think anytime that you get outreach to the community, and then you see other members of the community like informing their peers of these sorts of things, that's moving the needle in the right direction, so.
So did you posted it or you responded to one?
I put a post up explaining the 18-month budget
Got it.
process, linking it to the webpage, putting some screenshots of the pamphlet, and then doing a little bit of just a written explanation, and then found some people who were asking the questions and responded there in my personal capacity, but I just wanted to make you all aware of it so you don't feel I'm speaking on everyone's behalf. So. I have nothing else, but.
Did you get any blowback with any, or like was?
Oh yeah, I got some foul responses, but a lot of people saying, "Oh, thank you, that was really helpful." So,
Okay, well, that's.
but it was more
that's good.
positive than negative. So,
That's cool, that's what matters.
Josh, do you have anything? Good.
I do not.
Rebecca?
I do not.
Just me. All right, cool. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Josh, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussions? Any questions? All in favor? Any opposition? Seeing none. We have some upcoming meetings. It's a busy time of year. We've got the planning board meeting September 3rd here at 6:30. Ag committee meeting September 3rd at the Eureka Center, now coming to you with Wi-Fi. We have solid waste committee meeting September 8th at the Wi-Fi empowered Eureka Center. And then we have a select board meeting here at September 9th. And just as an update, at our September 9th select board meeting, we're gonna have a discussion to follow up on the employee handbook and our public junkyard hearing. We're gonna be discussing our economic development goals on 9/23. On 10/14, we're gonna discuss the budgeting process moving forward. And on 10/28, we're gonna have a discussion about our communication hopes and dreams for the coming years.
Conservation Commission's office, please.
And the Conservation Commission is gonna come in and discuss the process, what they've done for information so far from the consultant on the open space, so. We do have an executive session for personnel matters pursuant to 4056A, and we will make sure we take notes and submit those to you, if that works for everyone else. So, seeing nothing else, do we have a motion to move into executive session?
No motion to.
Motion from Deb, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Alright, and do we have any questions or discussion? Alright, seeing none, we're gonna move into that executive session at 7:43.